The sight of them together illuminated the profound emotions he harbored for her. I lingered in silence, hidden within the dim recesses of the hallway. The gentle illumination from the room caressed my features, allowing me to absorb the surroundings while remaining inconspicuous. My mother exuded an air of elegance and confidence, fully committed to her duties, her hair arranged with precision, flowing in soft waves that complemented her every gesture. A young man felt an undeniable pull towards the woman beside him, his gaze fixed and unwavering as he immersed himself in her presence. I do not mean to imply that my mother lacks virtues or is unappealing. Indeed, she does, and to a considerable extent. Her beauty is undeniable, exuding an effortless grace that enchants everyone who beholds it. Her courage and unwavering spirit continually render her an enchanting figure to everyone around. What truly captivated my attention was the manner in which she had enchanted such a youthful and charming man, brimming with vitality and enthusiasm. In that instant, I began to understand the rationale that compelled them to confront her. My being there was purely a matter of chance. It was never my intention to take note of their presence. I made my way to the kitchen in search of a refreshing glass of water. Yet, her laughter unexpectedly seized my focus. I watched my mother and her partner, taking note of the tender way their hands grazed one another, and the exchanged looks that hinted at a profound connection. In that moment, it seemed as if the whole universe surrounding her had completely disappeared. The talent of my mother enchanted her partner. Despite the age difference between them, it was evident that he was profoundly moved by the experience and the assurance she radiated. Every gesture and word she selected was meticulously designed to captivate her attention, guaranteeing that her thoughts were entirely focused on her. Before they could perceive my presence or entertain any uncertainties regarding being watched, I chose to withdraw. A blend of warmth and curiosity enveloped me, as if I had crossed the threshold into an uncharted realm. As I glided silently along the corridor, I contemplated the origins of my mother's wisdom. The visions that had crossed my eyes remained etched in my thoughts, shattering my peace. A new facet of her personality emerged, one that challenged my earlier perceptions. I had not considered all those facets. In time, I came to understand that it might be crucial for my husband's contentment. In the end, I found myself at my mother's house, as my husband had embarked on a relationship with another, leading me to the choice of separating from him. As those thoughts swirled within me, I began to ponder the choices I had made. Instead of seeking out my husband to determine if that would yield results, I began to contemplate my mother's partner. The man who had shared merely 2 years of my life seemed remarkably captivating. His way of speaking, calm presence, and inviting smile captivated me entirely. For a fleeting instant, I pondered if the bond we shared had become excessive, yet I swiftly cast aside that notion, shaking my head to dispel any unwelcome thoughts. What thoughts occupy my mind at this moment? Though it seemed an unusual idea, I found myself unable to suppress a faint smile at the very thought. My curiosity led me down a perilous path, one from which I may not have emerged unscathed. As I stepped into the room, I gently closed the door behind me. The gentle click of the lock echoed quietly in the serene embrace of the night. As I sank onto the bed, my thoughts whirled in a chaotic dance, each image flickering through my mind, accompanied by a comforting warmth that blossomed within me. I tried to drift into slumber, yet the vivid memories of what I witnessed lingered, preventing me from finding rest. What kind of daughter watched her mother? What, I wondered, were my thoughts about the man accompanying her? I pondered over my musings. Yet, at the same time, a soft whisper within me provided comfort, reminding me that he was not my father. If you yearn for it, do not confine yourself with restrictions. Treasure the moments you can hold close today. The atmosphere in the room was thick, laden with the weight of my thoughts, which seemed to saturate the air around me. The branches of the trees danced softly in the breeze, their gentle rustle harmonizing with the quickening beat of my heart. I endeavored to silence those thoughts, to plunge into the profoundness of the dream, yet the sensation of having breached a boundary held me alert. As the first rays of light filtered through the cracks in the curtains, I understood that it was time to embark on another day. My thoughts were muddled, lingering in the dim recesses of a dream that was gradually fading from my grasp. Nevertheless, an unwavering resolve compelled me to lift myself from my slumber. As I donned the familiar robe resting by my bedside, my bare feet glided across the floor, leading me to the kitchen. the very heart of the cherished traditions woven into my mother's home. The rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloped the room, a fragrance I had previously associated with leisurely days. Yet this time it bore a distinct significance. Upon entering, I observed my mother at the table, savoring breakfast alongside her new companion, a man whose presence still felt foreign to me. His gaze possessed an enigmatic allure, a captivating mix of warmth and curiosity that eluded my understanding. Upon catching sight of me, my mother immediately stood up. In a soft, soothing manner, she asked about my breakfast choices, using that familiar voice I had once adopted to conceal my unvoiced concerns. I reassured my mother that there was no need for concern, as I would take care of the meal preparation myself. I approached the pantry with a serene composure, intent on finding a cup. As I rose, I caught the young man's eye, the gentleman with his meticulously styled hair and a welcoming smile. His greeting was warm, yet his gaze remained fixed on me, scrutinizing every detail as if each nuance captivated his attention. A tremor ran along my spine, but I managed to mask it with a soft smile. Perhaps I perceived it as simply his method of conveying appreciation for my efforts, or perhaps it hinted at something deeper. I was surprised by the ease with which he asked if I had been getting enough rest. Despite the seemingly carefree tone he adopted, his expression cast a shadow of uncertainty over me. The seemingly harmless inquiry echoed in my thoughts. Could he have sensed my presence? A delicate tremor in my hands urged me to clutch the cup with greater assurance. With a calm demeanor, I activated the coffee maker, making certain that my attempts to unwind stayed subtle. The soft murmur of water and the deep scent of coffee enveloped the cozy space, breaking the stillness that hung in the air following my words. I nestled into my chair opposite them, focusing my gaze on my steaming cup of coffee. Yet, their gaze stayed locked on me, imbued with a mischievous glimmer that I found utterly impossible to overlook. With each sip of coffee, I felt the weight of his gaze upon me, transforming the moment entirely. My mother, oblivious to the mounting tension in the kitchen, stood up from the table with her usual grace. With unwavering calmness, she declared that it was time to embark on her workday. As her colleague rose from their seat, she made her way toward my position. As she drew near to bid her goodbye, I sensed my body instinctively tense up. With a smile crafted solely for my eyes, she leaned in and whispered, less than have a wonderful day, greater than," before pressing a gentle kiss on my cheek. Yet, her movements were far from simple. Her goodbye was imbued with warmth and affection, just as one would expect from her. A subtle caress, barely perceptible, yet it stirs a feeling of hesitation and caution deep within me. At that moment I reacted swiftly, masking my true feelings with a courteous smile while I watched him and my mother leave the house. The door's echo lingered in the silence enveloping the room, leaving me solitary with the cup of coffee that had grown cold in my grasp. The rhythmic ticking of the clock on the wall was the only sound that disrupted the serene atmosphere enveloping the kitchen. I dedicated my time to staying engaged. I endeavored to grasp the circumstances that transpired. Still, doubt hovered in my thoughts. Was that kiss merely a mistake, or did it hold deeper meaning? As I rose to tidy my cup, I became aware of the rapid beating of my heart. The man's gestures and words seemed to carry a profound significance that captivated my curiosity. As the day unfolded, the echoes of that morning intertwined with every task I engaged in, weaving a tapestry of unease within my thoughts. The day stretched on interminably, each passing moment draining vitality as time trudged ahead. As I stood in the kitchen, focused on the task of preparing dinner, the unmistakable sound of the front door creaking open reached my ears. As I remembered my stepfather's arrival before my mother's, a gentle flutter stirred within my heart. Though the reason eluded me, the prospect of being alone with him ignited a blend of apprehension and exhilaration deep within. A feeling of discomfort washed over me as I grappled with the ambiguity of my relationship with my stepfather. In the end, he was the one chosen by my mother to accompany her through life, and it became my responsibility to place her well-being above all else. He stepped inside with a sense of determination, as though the house were an extension of his very being. He placed his suitcase and jacket on the table by the entrance, and from that moment on, his voice carried a warm and assured quality. The aroma that permeates this abode is genuinely enchanting. I glanced over at him as he strode into the kitchen with assurance, where I was finishing up the preparation of the sausage and chorizo tacos. He moved with a soft but certain elegance, each footfall on the wooden floor echoing a subtle assurance that suggested the promise of what was to come. As he stirred in the pan, he lingered at the kitchen door, taking in the rich aroma that had demanded such dedication to create. He inquired with a softer, more personal touch about what he was crafting in the kitchen. I articulated my preparations to him with clarity, and he took a deep breath, exhaling with a palpable sense of satisfaction. As he drew near, he observed, less than less than less. For some reason, it carries a delightful fragrance. More than. Within his gaze, I discerned a trace of something captivating and hidden that stirred a sense of unease within me, eliciting an unforeseen reaction I was ill-equipped to face. His gaze lingered for a moment, studying me with a contemplative look. In an unexpected moment, he articulated his realization that the individual's spouse was blind, employing a gentle tone that nonetheless resonated with clarity and strength. Fewer than. Should you persist in tackling matters with the same diligence and thoughtfulness you apply to your culinary endeavors, I am confident that all will unfold beautifully. More than. The fervor of his stare ignited a tremor along my skin, not out of fear, but from the tantalizing uncertainty of what could unfold next. I endeavored to maintain my composure, yet his subsequent words obliterated any trace of tranquility I had succeeded in preserving. I am confident in your capabilities in that area, especially considering your mother remains silent on the matter. Your departure appears to mirror hers in a striking way. A swirl of frustration and confusion enveloped me. I replied, striving to express indignation, despite the awareness that my tone was revealing my true feelings. Fewer than. How could you address me in such a manner? More than. A yearning for the hidden and the mysterious began to emerge, dwelling in the very core of my being. He drew a little closer. His presence stirred a disquiet within me, leaving me at a loss for how to react. Fewer than. With the same bravery you exhibited during your visit yesterday. Greater than, he remarked, a sly smile playing on his lips, akin to a feline that has just ensnared its prey. Fewer than. I observed you, yet I chose to allow you to complete your contemplation undisturbed. More than. What if we reflect on the possibilities that arise from your husband's absence? As expected, you understand. The proposal laid before us was suspended, brimming with assurances that appeared improbable, yet I silently harbored a desire to delve deeper. A part of me yearned for that, yet I opted to keep it unspoken. Just as I was poised to reply, the door burst open and my mother strode into the house, her presence as commanding as ever. She wrapped her arms around my stepfather, planting a warm kiss on his lips, dissolving the tension that had lingered between us. For a fleeting instant, I experienced the sensation of being an outsider in my own existence, pondering a scenario that did not belong to me. As I completed the dinner preparations, the delightful echoes of her laughter and the warmth of her expressions enveloped the room. As we sat down for dinner, my mother animatedly shared her thoughts, and I endeavored to maintain my composure, fully aware that he would not stay silent. As the meal commenced, a subtle sensation grazed my foot beneath the table, confirming the accuracy of my instincts. At first, I regarded it as mere fortune, yet that sentiment evolved, growing in clarity and assertiveness. It was a struggle for me to come to terms with it. This person moves with astonishing speed. My heart raced wildly as I averted my eyes, desperate to conceal the impact he had on me. Just as the clandestine actions beneath the table reached a crescendo, the doorbell chimed, shattering the palpable tension in the air. I rose with purpose, welcoming the disruption, and made my way to the door to swing it open. In that instant, my mother-in-law wore a grave expression, delivering the news that my husband had been involved in a traffic accident and was now in the hospital. Her words laced with a hope that I would be the one to stand by him during this difficult time. I decided to join my mother-in-law, not from a wish to be near my husband, but because I understood that staying back would probably draw me to my stepfather, a notion that stirred both unease and curiosity within me. Yet, I never imagined I would act in such a way towards my mother. I was reluctant to bear the weight of having misled her in such an unfortunate way. In contemplating the matter, I came to understand that my mother's courage surpassed the fleeting happiness. I made the decision to leave, suppressing my yearning, aware that in spite of my desires, I did not encounter that enchanting quality. Your willingness to lend an ear to my tales means a great deal to me. As we reach the end of our time together, I invite you to consider subscribing to my channel and activating notifications. If you found the content enjoyable, I would be grateful if you could take a moment to click the like button. I wrap my arms around your dear friend Laura, offering her a warm embrace. I eagerly anticipate our upcoming meeting.